Welcome to the Pinch to Zoom podcast. This is the show where we zoom in on the latest tech news, products, and trends. I'm Stetson.
I'm Gabe.
And this is our special Samsung Galaxy Unpacked 2021 event. We'll be talking about the new Galaxy S21, S21 Plus, and S21 Ultra devices, what's new, the pricing, and some of the bonus things Samsung announced, including the new Samsung tags and their new wireless earbuds.
Yeah, we also won't be covering anything that they released at CES 2021. So they've just had a flurry of tech coming out, along with all the other people at CES. We'll be doing a whole episode just on CES next week, so stay tuned for that. But this is all about Samsung's Unpacked event, and I think we usually call it like unpacking.
Unpacking Samsung's
that
Galaxy
joke never
Unpacked.
gets old.
It's so true. It carries through.
So what devices we saw? You said we saw the S21, S21 Plus, S21 Ultra, and then we saw the Galaxy Tags Plus, and the Galaxy Buds Pro.
That's
right?
correct.
That's all good?
Yeah.
So we saw 6 devices, or 6 things kind of, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say closer to 5, but maybe if you count the Tags Plus.
5.5.
Yeah, 5.5.
The Plus gives it a half.
Sure.
So, all right, let's start with the phones because those are probably the most interesting.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing here, obviously everyone's going to ask, 5G.
Yeah.
They all got them.
They all got 5G. They all got all forms of 5G.
And they technically they're calling them the S21 5G, the S21 Plus 5G.
That's correct.
And then is it the S21 Ultra 5G? Or I don't think they even say 5G for that.
I think they do. They put the logo in the name. I think
Yeah.
Samsung specifically refers to them just as the regular device name. But 5G is in the official long form name.
Eventually, they won't have to say it because every phone will just be 5G and
It'll
it won't
just
be a big deal.
It'll just be like LTE. Like nothing
Yeah.
was named LTE.
Well, I think originally they did have
you're probably right.
Remember, because the iPhone, there was the iPhone 3G.
It was in there.
And then they're like, no, this is not a good plan.
So yeah, I think what I want to say, the biggest changes here is for the S21 and for all the devices actually, is they're $200 cheaper across the board, right?
That's a big deal.
Pricing and availability, these are starting at $800 for the S21, $1,000 for the S21 Plus, and $1,200 for the S21 Ultra. This is getting you 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage for the S21 models. And I think the S21 Ultra is actually giving you a little bit more RAM. I think it's 12 gigs for the baseline, goes up to 16 gigs if you choose to upgrade.
Now, $1,200 for the Ultra. Why would you ever pay that price for a phone?
Well, I think that's what Samsung's actually trying to convince you here.
Okay.
We'll talk about this in a bit, but Samsung actually removed key features on the S21 devices, I think, to prop up the S21
to make
Ultra.
The Ultra look even cooler.
Put it on this pedestal, make it look like a worthy upgrade. So
that
we'll have
makes
to
sense.
see if it's worth it.
Well, let's start with the S21 and S21 Plus because those are the ones that most people are probably going to be looking at. Are they basically the same?
They're in some areas they are pretty much the same as the S20,
Yes.
but in some areas they're worse, and in some areas they're a little bit better.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
The only difference between these two phones is the size, right?
Size, battery. I think that's it. Yeah, size and battery.
So kind of like the iPhone Pro or 12 Pro Plus and Max.
Right? Yeah. So if you're going
they go Max.
It's the 12 mini and the 12. The only difference is the size, and the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max. There's actually more differences because the 12 Pro Max has the new cameras. Yeah. They have the new camera sensor.
So it's more like the mini and the
mini and the 12. Yeah. So they're pretty much the same. What's new? What's different? So there's actually a few downgrades this year, and I think this is kind of like the headline feature for these phones.
It's the downgrades.
Yeah. It's what everyone is talking about because it's like so often. We joke about like every presentation, it's the best one ever. It's like, oh, of course it's the best. And here it's like, well, wait a minute. Is it actually the best?
Well, they're saying it's the best because of the price.
That's probably true. Is the price worth it? So here's what's missing. You're getting a lower resolution display. So it's a 1080p display at 120 hertz. And I think what happened is Samsung was looking at the analytics for their S20 devices, and those shipped at 1080p and at 60 hertz. And they probably saw, all right, most people actually left it on the default because they didn't know they could change it or whatever. Yeah. And the people who did change the setting chose to go for 1080p at 120 hertz as opposed to upgrading to the 1440p resolution, but limited to 60 hertz. So they were like, all right, if we're putting a new display in this phone, like 1080p is probably fine. Most people didn't seem to notice. and we'll just give them 120 hertz.
I mean, are they collecting those analytics?
I feel like they are.
Well,
I feel like
yeah. I was thinking focus groups, but they probably are collecting those analytics too.
you can just tell. I mean, because the 120 hertz, that makes the biggest difference in usability of a phone.
Well, see, you know what they're gonna do?
What are they gonna do?
They're gonna do every year. They're gonna go from, all right, next year it's gonna be like, and now our new incredible 4K display, but they'll drop the 120 hertz. And the year after they'll be like, and now our new smooth motion 120 hertz, incredible, like you can't even see it, but they go down to 1080.
They drop it. They
just keep going back and forth.
It's
they
always new.
It's always a new upgrade.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You're also getting a plastic back on the S21. I actually believe the Plus is getting a glass back, which is kind of confusing. They have the same camera sensors as last year, so the only difference camera-wise is actually going to be in the processing of the images, thanks to the new Snapdragon 888 processor
And the software.
and the software optimizations. Samsung was throwing around the AI buzzword in there.
Yeah,
we got AI doing all kinds of
taking
stuff.
A bunch of photos at once, and
You gotta love it. You're also missing the micro SD card. There's no micro SD card expansion option.
They got rid of that finally.
I mean, a lot of people liked it, so it's sad to see it go. But you also understand
finally,
it.
like I'm surprised they still had it because I feel like they would have instantly killed it off.
Like the headphone jack.
Yeah,
just as soon as Apple did. Well, Apple never had it.
I
don't even know
why.
They should have stopped from the
beginning.
beginning.
What are they doing? Yeah.
And this went under the radar, but the magnetic stripe technology, this is called MST. This was actually used for mobile payments.
Okay.
And what was so cool about this is you could go to any payment terminal, and the phone actually generated sort of the magnetic stripe, like that signal you get when you actually swipe your card.
Yeah.
So you could use it on pretty much any terminal, any transaction terminal. Really, really cool. That got the axe this year. It's gone.
You own S20.
I do, yep.
Did you ever use that?
I never used
All right,
it.
that's
once.
why that got the
Well,
axe.
I feel like if you're a Samsung user, you would use that, but I
feel
didn't
like
add my credit card.
Most people
payment
would just
info,
use Samsung Pay, I feel like.
or Google Pay.
Well,
I think Samsung Pay was the one that actually took advantage of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing all in.
Either
on
way,
NFC.
most places now have just the tap to pay, and if not, I just leave.
You want to cover some of the other actual like improvements in the phones now, and
There was no improvements, right?
Well, there actually
I know.
were.
I'm kidding. The big thing we saw was Gorilla Glass Victus, I think, which is this the same thing that's on the new iPhones, or?
I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if Apple is getting like a generation ahead, or if they're just taking the
special
Victus,
version maybe,
and like rebranding it.
Yeah.
Apple goes really in depth in their keynote on how they're making their glass and the process there. My guess is it's very similar in terms of characteristics, and my understanding is this has actually really good drop resistance, shatter resistance, and I think scratch resistance as well.
That's good because I scratched my iPhone 12 Max within like
I know, I feel kind of bad about that.
a month.
It was like less than
It's
that.
disgusting.
I know, and it's a big one too. You got to put a screen protector on there or something.
Yeah,
to cover
and it's
it up.
annoying. It looks like a hair, so I'm like blowing on it. And
yeah, trying to like smudge it away.
Did we mention the sizes of these phones? So
We did not.
6.2 inches for the smaller regular S21 and 6.7 inches for the Plus.
I think those are about the same as last year. I'm actually not sure about that.
It's about in the range. Like they're kind of all going in that 6-inch range for the regular phones.
Yep.
The screen, it's 1300 nits.
Yeah, that got an improvement. So 1300 nits on the S20. I got a wrong spec. 1500 is on the Ultra.
Ultra, yeah. So that's a good thing to note is that the Ultra is definitely still brighter screen. What else did it have? They have our standard, the 128 gigabytes, 256. That's standard. They did get rid of the micro SD card now.
Yeah, so
you have to remember
you're limited to just those.
Yeah, if you're coming from a previous Samsung phone and you're always like, oh, I just get the baseline model and then pop in a 256 gigabyte, micro SD. Now you got to actually level up,
shell out. Well, the good news is the difference in price is only $50.
Yeah, they're not like Apple and going up $150, $100 sometimes even.
That was crazy. What do you think of their new Eye Comfort Shield? This is the technology that supposedly reduces the blue light emission of the phone throughout the day.
I don't even know if I saw this thing.
It was in the keynote. I was just like,
I was taking notes. I think I missed part of that. But
actively taking notes.
Oh no, I did see part of it. Yeah. I think it's a good idea. Like it seemed kind of like what Google is already doing though, and kind of what Apple does too.
Well, what's unclear to me is if this is display technology that's somehow different than a blue light filter, because we already have on existing Samsung phones, Android phones, iPhones. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can reduce
But the display isn't as color accurate.
Yeah, so
is it going to be just as color accurate?
That's what I think I heard from the presentation was accurate colors, reduced blue light emission, and reduced eye strain.
We'll wait and see.
That's a big question mark to me.
Sure. And yeah, and I see you put in here that the iPhone 12 is only 1200 peaks brightness. So
yeah,
these S21s, which that's always been true. I feel like that the Samsung phones have always, at least they've always seemed brighter than iPhones.
Yeah, they've typically had, I want to say, like leading perceived quality.
Yeah.
I think the color accuracy, there's been some variances there, and things like that. But this phone should be excellent for HDR content with that great peak brightness.
Yeah. Anything else we need to know about these? Well, one thing, people have to buy their own charger now.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? No charger in the box.
Whatever. I don't care.
Gabe doesn't care.
I literally do not care. I get why they're not doing it, and I'd rather not buy their charger and just buy one from a company who specializes in chargers.
Samsung makes actually pretty good chargers. Last year I got a 25 watt fast charger.
I mean, that's all right, but
it's enough to charge my
personally,
iPad.
I charge so many things. Having a charging brick that's just one USB thing is so useless to me.
Oh, you need more.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always going to buy one that has at least 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So,
I respect that. I would have liked to see, I mean, they kind of did it, but a more direct price drop in correlation. Like, let's say they offer 2 models, one with the charger, one without. If you go without, you actually save like $25 or something like that. To me, I think that's a better approach because you feel like you're actually getting savings.
Then you have to box it up.
I know, it's a disaster for them.
Or maybe they should have done like a little animation, like, and announced the price and then said, but then we thought, let's just remove that charger.
Yeah, if they just added that in, I think
I don't know, because I think they're trying to take it away from the whole pricing and put it into because they mentioned sustainability, like Apple.
Yeah, Apple's thing.
So
I mean, it makes sense. You can fit more phones on a shipping pallet. It actually improves efficiencies and economics. It's more profitable. But yeah, it's kind of sad to some degree to see it go.
Now, what else do we see? Cameras, you said it's the same camera, so is everything pretty much the same?
Yeah, well, it has a new name. So the new design actually I think looks really nice. And
I do too, yeah.
They're calling it the Contour Cut Camera Housing.
All right.
How would you describe this to people listening to the podcast?
I thought you were the describer.
All right, you got it.
It just feels like a little like...
Okay, Gabe, I'm going to stop you right there.
Thing
so what happened
like
was take your existing camera bump and you're just going to drag it to the very top left corner and actually integrate it into the frame of the phone. So what happens is the aluminum frame or the metal frame, I'm not sure what metal it is, but it sort of comes up the side of the phone, and then it bleeds in and turns into this beautiful camera cutout on the very top left edge of the phone, and then swoops back into the frame. I really like it. It's a unique design. We haven't seen this before, and the cameras are in a vertical integration, so it's that vertical array.
And they emphasize that it's metal rather than glass, so you're not gonna I guess you could break the previous one possibly. I don't know, but they say anyway, more durable either way.
Yep. So same camera sensors. Okay, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 64 megapixel telephoto. That actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. It might be a 60. No, I copied and pasted that. That's definitely accurate.
Okay.
And the telephoto is 3 times zoom. How have you been liking that? Because you've been using 2.5 on the Pro Max.
Yeah, 2.5 it's definitely the more zoom the better. I always think.
I think to me 3 is a little too much. I like 2. I feel like 2.5 is kind of a good medium. And then if I need to zoom more, I'm okay with using a little bit of software.
Yeah.
We also got 8K video, and I'm not excited about that at all.
No, you don't need 8K video.
How was it on last year's phone?
It's awful. And I mean, they pump out this like huge resolution specs and saying it's incredible. Resolution is not the end all be all, as is evident by the fact that they downgraded their screen from 4K to 1080, right? Like there's so many more things to things looking good than just resolution. So you can film 8K video, but you're watching it on a 1080p screen until you put it somewhere else. Like, this is absolute trash.
Well said, Gabe.
Don't ever bother filming 8K.
4K is good.
They did introduce a new single take thing, which I've never really liked Samsung's camera technology, but I'm always interested to see how these things that they introduce will work out. Because I'm like, eventually they're going to get something that's good and we'll make Apple copy it.
How does single take work, and what are you getting with that?
I think they already have something somewhat like it, where it's like capture all or...
it's like quick take or something like that.
Yeah, but basically what you do is you just hit like the shutter button and it just like it's almost like it's taking continuous photos, but it's also video, and it knows when to take the photos, and it will produce, like, you might get 8 photos from that just single take, as well as maybe a video or a cool animation. It's kind of just letting all the cameras capture, and then the AI is just processing it and going, this is what we think you want, and hopefully it is what you want.
So I just tried it on my S20, and it's sort of like a 10-second video, and it looks like it pulls out frames from the video from the different cameras, stylizes them with different filters and effects. And I think the idea here is you can then choose what to share on social media.
Yep. So we'll see how that works. They also introduced a vlogger view, which is that, what is this exactly?
You can, there's actually 2 views, okay? You got director view and vlogger view. This is enabled by the Snapdragon 888 processor, by the way. They're taking this extra horsepower, and they're giving you, with director's view, a mode where you can preview all 3 cameras while you're recording video, tap into the camera.
Kind of like what we saw with, what was that? Filmic Pro on the iPhone, yep.
Exactly like that. Vlogger view, same idea. You can just see yourself with the front-facing camera, swap between that, or I think record both at once.
Which I think they've had that.
I think you're right, actually.
So they just are putting new names on things that they might have already had. Hey, whatever, fine. It's half of the game is about marketing. Actually, 90% of the game is about marketing. Anything else here? Or can we go to the Ultra?
There's 3 things I definitely want to mention.
Okay.
Qualcomm's new 3D Sonic Sensor Gen 2. This is the underneath the screen fingerprint reader. Hopefully it's faster and better. I actually kind of don't like the one in the S20. I much preferred the ones they had before on the back of the phone. Even the front, it was just so much faster. So that's a big thing for me. We mentioned 5G at the top. This is enabled by the Snapdragon 888 processor, which actually includes the 5G modem integrated into the chip. Samsung saying this could improve battery life with better efficiency. That's great to see.
Now, all the new S21s have this 888 except for the international ones, right?
That's correct. So all the international ones are getting Samsung's processor, the Exynos 2100. And I'm not sure how those two compare.
It'd be interesting to see some speed tests eventually between those.
Historically, the Snapdragon processor has outperformed the Samsung one typically by a substantial margin. So
yeah, they specialize in this. This is pretty much the industry leading processor.
We'll see how it pans out. And the final bullet here, Wi-Fi 6E is here,
which is confusing to people, I think.
The Wi-Fi naming scheme hasn't been the greatest.
They forget. They're like, oh wait, we're gonna keep progressing. Oh, we should have probably worked in some system that would have,
allowed us to do that.
Yeah, not just randomly picked up numbers as we go.
Before we move on to the S20 Ultra, the S21 Ultra, do you think the changes Samsung made to the S21 and S21 Plus are worth it, considering the lack of certain features, but the added $200 price drop?
I think it's a good move. I think price is one of the biggest things people consider when buying a phone, and the other thing is how it looks, and how the phone looks, and then how it actually literally looks. Not necessarily what the resolution of the screen is or all those things, really. It's about the experience. So, though people aren't really trying phones out anymore. They're not going into stores as much.
They're not seeing them.
Well, maybe we're still going to start doing it more. But yeah, I think the biggest complaint last year was the price. So they did what they had to do to drop the price, and it'll be interesting to see if we see the price drop more like they've done in previous years, when it's like, oh, we released that phone 2 months ago, but yeah, we're going to cut the price by about $400.
It's true. I mean, on the website, I pre-ordered. I got a $100 discount with the S21, and they're actually doing $150. It's not a discount, but you get Samsung store credit. So I loaded up with some cases and accessories. All of it was free because it was included with the credit. So it's $100 credit with the S21, $150 with the S21 Plus, $200 with the Ultra.
I swear they just mark these up just so that when they release them, they can get all those fanboys and the tech reviewers to buy them at the super high price, and then start marking them down. So whenever a regular person goes into the store to buy them, they can say, yeah, these are on sale.
Right. I mean, all the carriers, they offer pretty like trade-in deals, trade-in discounts, things like that.
Yeah.
I love your take on the, is it worth it for average consumers? You're right. Like, they're looking at design, they're looking at cameras, or they're looking at those kinds of things. I think for Samsung enthusiasts, this is a disappointment. This is a step backwards in key areas people have loved about Samsung.
But for Samsung enthusiasts, they're going to go with the Ultra.
I don't even know if they'll do that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I was seeing some people, they love the expandable storage and just like those little options so much in their older devices, even just basic headphone jack.
Well, if you have 5G, you have expandable storage. You just get Dropbox, get Google Drive, and boom.
Well, we're not there yet.
Actually, OneDrive was the integration they were pushing.
I liked that a lot. That was smart. I think that competes well with Google in terms of Google Photos and then OneDrive. Yeah, Gabe, let's move on
to the Ultra. The big thing here that had a lot of people talking leading up to this is the S Pen support, actually, because that's driven a lot of rumors that Samsung is planning to kill off the Note line. And while we did see the S Pen support there, we don't know if they're actually going to be killing off the Note line. You know, there's some
TBD.
There's some definite drawbacks too. Like if you're someone who loves the S Pen, you're not going to be too like there's no place to put it. Is the biggest
Wait,
thing.
what? There's no like
Yeah, right. That's the thing. When
So
you
what,
have an
you're carrying
S Pen,
around-
I don't know. What do you do with it? I guess you have to get a case that's
you
literally
get
the
a
only
separate
option.
case that has a S Pen slider because they couldn't put it in the phone.
Yeah. So,
That seems so weird to me because the phone is physically almost identical in dimensions.
really.
I think so. I mean,
Oh,
they're
wow.
so similar. Like, how
Yeah.
could you not?
Yeah, true.
One thing I will say I did like is now that you can use third-party S Pens, you can get ones that are more comfortable, bigger, potentially easier to write on. Why you would want that to write on a phone, I'm not really sure, but this could be nice for tablets, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if you have a couple different Samsung devices now, the ability to have third-party S Pens, that's a good move. I'll give them Samsung a
It
nod
is a
for
good
that. Next, we saw a better display here.
Okay.
It's a 6.8 inch, so it is slightly bigger, I guess, than the 21 Plus. Infinity O, is it? What was that? Infinity O. That's their
Their branding for their
branding.
display.
But they did one thing is all the displays are flat, right? Is that the?
I think that's true. Yeah, it's either a super, super minimal curve that actually might just be on the glass. And I think the displays are flat, which is really nice. I had so many accidental touches with the S10. It was abysmal. Like it makes it useless. You can't functionally operate the phone when you're trying to do one thing. It's not registering your tap because your palm is already touching and holding the phone in another place. You're accidentally opening apps. So I'm really happy
good move
about
there.
the
Like we
flat
mentioned
panel.
before, it is brighter than the S21 line with 1500 nits, which is it's 300 nits brighter than the iPhones, the new ones. It's the refresh rate is even more variable than the other ones, which is interesting. The S21, S21 Plus, I think is like 48 to 120, and this is actually 10 to 120, which is interesting. I don't know how that benefits. I guess it does give you better battery life, which they do mention is you get 24 hours plus supposedly with this phone. It's a
insane.
5,000
that's true.
milliamp hour battery, and they say 24 hours plus. I'd like to see it, but with something like if you're doing something that only requires a 10 hertz refresh rate, yeah, that's going to give you a lot more battery life.
Okay, I feel like the Ultra is also known for their cameras. They typically do something to juice it up. What's new with the
Well,
Ultra
they
here?
have 5 cameras.
Oh,
technically
snap.
6 cameras, right? Because there's one on the front too.
Yeah, you're right.
So, all right, here we go through them. There's a wide-angle camera with laser autofocus. That's 108 megapixels. That's the big daddy back from last year.
The big mamma jamma.
Same one there. You got telephoto 1, 10 megapixels, 2.4 f-stop on that. Then you have another telephoto that's 4.9. I don't know why do they have 2.
So one is 3 times zoom and one is 10 times zoom.
Gotcha, yeah. And they were big about how they folded the glass or the mirrors so that they could do that 10x zoom.
Yeah, you're right.
That did look pretty cool, I gotta say. That was a cool part of the presentation. They also have an ultra wide in there. That's 12 megapixels. And then they have the front one that is 40 megapixels. I guess they only have 5 cameras.
Well, there was another, I think it's
it's the
sensor for like...
It's the laser
sensor.
autofocus.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So 5 cameras, 6 sensors on there. The front one, 40 megapixels. I really like that, right?
It seems nice.
Most people take selfies, I feel like, are half the photos people take.
I mean,
depending on the person.
It's true. And what's also kind of nice is they disabled the skin smoothing feature by default. So previously, you would take a photo and it's like, why does this look all weird?
They did
and processed?
advertise it though a ton. Which
it's true. Like
the very interesting thing is they've done it so much, and Apple hasn't done it at all.
Yeah.
So it really shows you the different. Like Apple is a U.S. company and Samsung is Korean, and I think that's much more popular in Asian
Those markets. People like the smooth selfie look.
Yeah.
Skin looks really nice.
That's more the aesthetic for selfies and stuff. So, but yeah, that's awesome that they're disabling that by default. And we did see again the return of the 100x space zoom.
Nope. Even the demo on stage looked like,
which they're advertising like shooting out a bunch of words. AI takes 20 photos, and it's like it's still gonna look like crap. It's just gonna be like even more heavily processed.
You're
crap.
zooming in over 100 times on a tiny sensor. It doesn't look good. There's just no way for it to look good.
It is one thing though that I guess is nice is there's more intelligent stabilization when you're at that 100x, or so it's trying to like it'll grab onto objects a little more,
lock in a little bit.
So that helps a little bit, but overall, don't use that except for like you need to see what's over there.
If it improves the quality of 10x, 20x, and 30x, and they just didn't talk about that, that's actually pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting better zoom range and ideally better quality, but the 108 is
once you get all the way in there,
no one's using that. It's actually unusable.
Yeah. They introduced this new thing called Super Steady Mode, which I'm not really sure what it is, but basically just smoother video and I guess better stabilization when you're taking photos. And the big thing, 4K 60 FPS with all the sensors.
That's nice.
You're not going to be like, oh, I need to shoot on this one, so I can only just switch around as you want. 4K
60, all of them.
Yeah. What about, did we mention colors for any of these?
We have not mentioned any of the colors, but quickly,
before we get to
I want to sneak in 3 times better dynamic range on all the cameras. That's something they promoted a lot. And they actually showed during the presentation this really funny, all right, here's a scene where there's someone wearing like I think it was an orange jumpsuit or something, moving through the frame, side by side, S20, S21. And we both commented like the S20 was blurry and it didn't look
absolute
good.
Garbage.
And they're like, yeah, with the new one, it's sharp, extra dynamic range, and it was to show like you get more dynamic range and reduced motion blur in the high dynamic range photos. But it's like, wow, you were really shipping something that bad last year.
And charging $1,000 or whatever for it. Yeah, that was, and it's also they're doing 2 10-bit photos. I think I remember them saying, and they combine it for a 12-bit.
That's
They're going to get better color accuracy, stuff like that. There's a lot of AI processing in terms they threw around about how it goes in the shadows and like.
It's doing all sorts of
stuff. Pulls the colors and stuff out, but overall, really, all it comes down to with that is, does the photo look good?
Will your photo look good? Yes, it will.
Yeah.
And it will look better on Snapchat and Instagram because Samsung is allowing those apps to actually pull the photo off the camera as opposed to screenshotting the viewfinder.
That's
right. But here's the asterisk with this.
Yeah.
They actually announced this feature way back with the S10. And it hasn't been implemented.
Oh my gosh.
So is it here this time? I'm not sure.
Who knows? All right. So now let's get to the colors. The big thing, because this was actually with the Ultra, honestly, this was a main feature with it, was the Phantom Black. They had a whole video on just how black this phone was and how they it was almost like a training montage, like going through, could we make it any blacker? And then we realized, no, we had to scrap it all and try over again.
We had to try different materials, different finishes. We scrapped the entire traditional process and started something new.
Some guy just trying to I don't even know what black is anymore. And just,
I can imagine the designers going crazy. All of these look black to me.
Yeah,
there's no difference.
They had a whole table laid out of different, and you were like, wait, aren't they just all black? And obviously they weren't because they were thinking,
how much R&D went into this black color?
I don't know.
Probably too much.
It's kind of insane.
The designers probably wanted to feel validated, so they made them a special video.
Yeah. You guys didn't. It was all these people. They just did it. They didn't want to work with them, so they just put them off on this team creating Phantom Black, and then made them their own video. All right, they won't suspect a thing.
I will say, despite the humor we're throwing this, it looks great.
It does look pretty awesome. They also have now Phantom Silver. Oh, and guess what? The other colors, the special colors, Phantom Navy, Phantom Brown, and Phantom Titanium.
Oh, so this is their Phantom lineup as opposed to the previous announcement, which was the...
Wasn't it Majestic or...
Yeah, I forget what it was.
I can't
Something,
remember.
It was rose gold, but it wasn't. Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic, that's
I think
what it was.
Mystic Bronze.
Mystic, everything was mystical.
It came
now
back.
Everything's Phantom.
And so is this amazing new color available on all the devices?
Well, just the Phantom Black and Silver currently, and then, the Navy brown, and titanium will ship in 4 to 5 weeks. And those also have a little custom camera housing that kind of looks like carbon fiber weave.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Was that with all? I didn't even see that on the website.
That's just on the 3 custom colors that they're made to order, supposedly, too.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Very special. But yeah, you can't get all those colors.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
You can't get all those colors with the regular S21. Those are the Phantom ones are only a special color for the Ultra. If you're going with the boring old S21 or S21 Plus, your colors are limited a little more.
Actually, I'm actually seeing for the Plus model, Phantom Violet, Black, and Silver, and then Gold and Red coming in 3 to 4 weeks. Those probably are the custom order ones.
Okay, so they are keeping the Phantom name, but they're different colors.
That's correct. And then for the S21, the small guy, you're actually getting fewer options here. It's Phantom Gray, which is not black. Doesn't look as good. Phantom White. I actually thought this looked really nice and almost picked it up myself. And you also have Phantom Violet. So
interesting.
It's a mixed bag across the board. I think Samsung's trying to use color to help differentiate some of the models.
Apple does this too. They're all doing this now. Like they don't have don't have, as they've slowly decreased like how many new features they can introduce every year as we've kind of reached peak smartphone. They've had to literally just make up new features that they can revamp every year.
Color happens to be one of them.
Yep.
What's annoying is it's kind of working because the color I want isn't available in the model I want. Example, I wanted a black iPhone 12 Pro, not an option. It was slate gray. I got gray, slate gray. Samsung, I want a black with the small one, the S21.
Can't happen. So you gotta pay $600 more.
I guess if I want just like a standard black phone, I gotta be shelling out the big bucks.
Yeah.
Or going with a different phone.
Yeah. Well, those are the smartphones. So let's move on to the other 2.5 things that they announced. The first thing is they kind of got ahead of Apple here. We've been hearing all these news about AirTags and whatever. They weren't announced last year at the 3 of 4 events they had in the fall or whatever.
Apple, you had so many chances to announce this product and you didn't. And now Samsung is here and they did it first.
So Samsung got ahead of them and they said, well, fine. You don't want to announce your AirTags. We're going to announce the Galaxy tags. And they work with only Samsung devices.
So if I have any other Android, like if I have a Google phone, nope, they're not. Wow, I'm not going to work with that.
Get out of town.
If I OnePlus,
no.
No, just Samsung.
Samsung's the only option.
Okay,
it should be the only option. The good thing is these aren't very expensive. $30 for a tag, $40 for the tag plus. Now,
what are the differences? Were you just going to ask me that?
I was going to ask you that.
So the differences are.
I wasn't as good as explaining it.
Ultra wideband. This is basically precision location where you can see like on what floor of a building this tag is on, as opposed to, all right, my tag is within a 10-foot radius of this spot. I don't know like where specifically it is. So ultra wideband, that's the big thing. These tags work by communicating, Samsung says, securely with other Samsung devices and kind of like pinging their location and bouncing the signal back to you. And they said the battery lasts about 2 months. So enough for you to get the tag, for it to die, and then for you to lose your item. So
that's the thing with these tags and like I remember with tiles, like I would always have my battery die by the time I actually was like, oh, where did that go?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I think the battery's dead. Let me go charge it. Oh, wait, where did it go? Oh my gosh, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings about it. All right, my question for you.
They showed it with dogs though. That was kind of cool, I guess. Right?
I guess.
All of this, though, depends on where you live. Because if you live in a place where there's not a lot of people, like a more rural area.
Yeah, what is it? It's just going to, like, be out there.
Ping off a tree. The Samsung tree, though.
Samsung tree coming to use. They actually did announce that at one CES event. It was like a joke, I think. Or maybe it was April Fool's.
Oh, okay.
My question for you.
Yeah.
How much do you think the Galaxy tag name was based on the rumored AirTag name?
I mean, it does seem like a logical name. What else would you call these? Galaxy Tile?
Yeah, Tile wouldn't be so happy about that, would it?
No.
So I guess you're right. Tag. Maybe I'm reading too deep here.
And it's like if you put it on something, it is a tag, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a little tag.
Called like
I got
Galaxy flag.
They have different colors. You can also get these bundled.
Why didn't they call it Beacon? Like Galaxy Beacon.
Oh, all right. Well, that's kind of like bacon, I feel like.
Yeah. Galaxy Bacon.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. That's a Star Wars thing. Galaxy Bacon.
Last product.
Yep.
Galaxy Buds Pro.
These were actually, honestly, probably the most exciting, I feel like.
They had a lot going on here.
Yeah.
What were your like top 3 favorite features?
Well, for one, just to explain, they already had the Galaxy Buds, right, last year?
Yes.
Were they called Pro as well?
They were not called Pro.
Yeah, they were just the Buds. Now they're following again Apple's naming schema, where the buds are just the regular wireless regular. I mean,
yeah,
regular true wireless earbuds, and then the Buds Pro are the ones that have the noise canceling.
I think that's the trend.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And these look less bean-like for one.
Yeah, the beans are actually a disaster. I was watching; they're horrible.
Okay, so
don't get them.
They got rid of that, and the big thing here is they put two different, not speakers in each one. I guess speakers, you could say.
They're calling them different speakers, but my understanding of how a speaker works...
Basically, like instead of having one driver, you actually have two drivers in. You have the woofer, and then you have a tweeter.
That's pretty neat. So yeah, it's an 11 millimeter woofer and a 6.5 millimeter tweeter.
Tiny.
I think we need to hear people... We need to have people listen to them and then tell us how they sound before we buy them.
Because I also wonder, like, if they could have put just a larger overall, in there rather than just two smaller ones.
Yeah, usually bigger. Like the size is usually one of the biggest things.
Like I know the headphones we're wearing now, I think are like 50 millimeter.
Something like that.
Drivers. So I don't know. It's a good idea. It's something different. The big thing, obviously, with the ANC that you're getting, noise cancellation, is that it's not just, boring noise cancellation anymore. It's intelligent. It has AI to detect when you're speaking and then, pipe in that outside sound, which they call ambient mode. So you can actually hear what's going on.
I really like this feature, though I remain skeptical of how well it works. So the headphones are supposedly recognizing when you're talking, your voice compared to other people's voices. Should be possible with jaw movements and the relationship to the
vibration. They were
the jaw to the ear. So I think that'll work. I think it sounds really cool if you can automatically toggle that on and off. My question, would it be disabled during phone calls? Because then you'd be on the phone, you'd be talking, but you wouldn't want to hear everyone. Like you just want to hear the person on the phone.
I think they must know what mode it's in if it's a phone call or whatever.
So those are pretty cool. What else did these have?
They stole the 360 audio feature.
Yeah, I saw that. So Apple calls this spatial audio. Samsung's calling it 360 audio.
Yeah.
This is basically
with
where
Dolby.
You can have your phone playing a movie, and as you rotate your head in relationship to the phone, like your phone is in front of you, then you look to your right, you look to your left, the sound, in theory, will still sound like it is coming from the phone, and everything will stay oriented as it should, as opposed to moving with you. This can potentially have a more immersive effect and look really cool. Sound really cool, rather. But we haven't seen it tested. We don't know what apps and streaming services are supporting it. I know it is a little bit more limited on Apple devices right now. And you have to be watching basically on your phone, which for me, I prefer watching on a TV or a larger screen like a laptop. So we'll have to see what that looks like.
But this actually what they need to do is get this to work with TVs and bigger screens so that, say, you're downstairs watching on the TV and you want to actually enjoy it like it's on the TV, but I'm maybe doing something I need, you can't be bumping the sound system.
Like sleeping?
Like have it anchor the sound to the TV.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I think that's the biggest opportunity for Apple to integrate this with Apple TV somehow and make that experience, like bring a better audio experience to your headphones.
Now, one thing that piqued my interest with these, and that won't pique your phone calls, is windshield. And it's not a windshield like on a car. So I guess it kind of serves a similar purpose. It stops the wind.
So it's stopping
literally
the wind.
A windshield. As someone who's in quarantine, work from home stuff here, where I'm always going outside to make my phone calls so I can get some activity in while I'm on the phone.
I love that, going for a walk.
Yeah, right. It's nice,
it's
but
great.
a lot of times I know.
What was that?
Exactly.
Are you okay?
The people on the other end are not loving the audio quality that I'm getting. So I think Samsung probably, honestly, from the same thing, realizing that, hey, a lot of us are walking around taking phone calls now. Why don't we work in a windshield? That's probably how this actually originated.
I hope it works really well. I think audio quality on headphones is one of the weakest attributes and one of the areas that has the potential for most improvements and can potentially be one of the most differentiating features. Yeah. I really hope it works well for them. I think final here, we have auto switch between your Samsung devices.
Yeah, this is big because I love this on my Apple devices.
Yeah, it's huge.
So I'm excited for people who have, are in that Samsung ecosystem to finally get a really cool feature.
Get to be able to experience that. It's magical when it works. I really hope it does work well for them. And yeah, that's all I have for
5-hour battery life, so pretty much on par with AirPods. You get 18 hours using the 13 hours of charging time in the case. And what colors do they come in? Do we have the colors here?
I don't know.
Pull that up. Probably similar colors.
Phantom. It's going to be a phantom color.
Yeah.
If I was to guess, phantom gray, white, and violet.
It is, well, I mean, you got the colors right. I don't know if you got what they are calling them right. But
Maybe
either way,
not
these will
phantom?
be selling for $200, and they will be going on sale January 15th. And you were actually right. Yeah, Phantom Black, though, sorry. Phantom Silver and Phantom Violet.
They
colors.
got the
I would
black
go
in there.
probably Phantom Black or Phantom Silver. Probably Phantom Black.
Phantom black. It looks pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully these actually have a better fit because they're more like proper in-ear headphones. They have a little in-ear headphone piece to slide in your ear canal as opposed to the beans, which just sort of sat there and sounded bad.
And looked like beans.
And
in
it looked
your
like you
ears,
had
which-
beans in your ears.
Who wants
as opposed to
that?
headphones.
But
I
yeah.
hope these work well. I think they said they were great for running. The person on stage was quote unquote a
A
runner.
runner. Yep.
So that's my biggest issue with the headphones I've tried. And yeah.
Now,
Either way,
anything else notable about this keynote or event?
I feel like we covered everything. We did a deep dive into the S21
They
devices.
mentioned Game Pass, which was
That's a thing.
That's still a
It's
thing.
not really Samsung exclusive. Does it tend
Yeah.
to work better on Samsung devices? Sure. They have
well,
the
you
better
can't do it
screens.
on iOS, can you?
Well, you can now. Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah,
Game
Game
Pass,
Pass.
yeah,
I was
not
thinking
yet.
of Stadia.
Yeah.
So
Either way, I'm not sure 100% that gaming on a mobile device with games that are meant for bigger screens is the greatest thing. I've tried it with Cyberpunk and a couple other ones on my phone. It doesn't work. It kind of works on an iPad mini, but really
maybe an iPad or
an
laptop. would be
iPad or
better.
laptop.
But those don't really
works.
have some of the laptops. I guess have cellular connectivity.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. So
So yeah, that was pretty much it though. It was a Samsung event. You know,
I
a
would
lot
say
of
this is
graphics.
actually more of like an S upgrade or a T upgrade because
Okay.
OnePlus did those. It's
Gotcha.
like a half step.
They did mention also a new UI interface type thing.
Yeah, they had a huge video about this.
Which
like,
they didn't really mention actually what like there
what's
was
different.
there wasn't it was just a flashy marketing video which you're
Yeah.
like
Actually, wait, I remember watching this and laughing so hard because it looked like so inspired from Apple.
Oh, I was saying it's LG and Apple combined. It's
Oh my
iOS
gosh.
15 and LG basically is what it looks
It's
like.
crazy. I'm not a big fan. So my S20 actually got an update,
Yeah.
and the notification shade that you pull down, it's now this like fade in animation. I do not like it at all. It feels slower to me.
Do it again.
So it just kind of fades in. So before
Oh yeah.
it used to unroll, kind of like a scroll, and
it
now
feels
it's
like
just
it's delayed too much.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't like it at all. It's horrible.
No, I'm not a fan.
So yeah, I don't know. Samsung's doing their thing. Is it better? I don't know. Is it different?
It's the greatest
Yeah.
they've ever done. The best one yet.
They'll have you believe this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But what was actually great was this podcast episode. So if you enjoyed it,
It was
be sure
all
to-
right, I think. I'd give it a solid S21 plus.
All right. If you enjoyed it, please do give us a rating on Apple Podcasts, though, and get subscribed for our bonus. Actually, it's a regular episode, just CES episode coming out next week. We're covering all the new tech from all of the companies, Sony, Microsoft, Samsung, Intel, all of those wonderful people, and it'll be a fun ride. So either way, thank you for listening to our bonus S21 event, Samsung Unpacked. We unpacked it yet again, another year in a row.
Pack it away until next year,
I'm Stetson,
August. I'm Gabe.
and we look forward to talking to you in the next one. Kind of a mixed bag. We'll see how this unfolds. Later in the year with the Unfold event.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna call it Unfolds?
No, it's gonna be
Samsung
Unpacked.
Unfolds.
I would like that.
That'd be good.
I would get a smile on my face if they called it the Samsung Unfold
Yeah,
event.
and you haven't smiled in 5 years.
Yeah, this will be a big moment for me.
Please, Samsung, could you call it Unfolds?